First and foremost, I'm an idiot. Let's just get that out of the way. The entirety of this video is going to be filmed in the vertical format and not the horizontal because I forgot how to record stuff on my phone and I do not have a fancy setup. So I recorded it the wrong way. But I really hope you enjoy the video. We built a beautiful, beautiful black walnut dining room table that is my favorite project to date, and it turned out absolutely fantastic. So I hope you enjoy it. If you like the video, subscribe. There will be more. We're going to get back into the content creation because I missed it. I actually missed making videos. So I hope you enjoy it. We've got some more projects coming that we'll make videos on, but I will see you on the next one, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so we've got 3 black walnut slabs, and our plan is to do a rough length cut to get them rough cut to length, and then we'll do a rough width cut to kind of get them down to size that we can run through the planer. But what we're going to do is use my track saw to rip down one edge, then we'll take it, flip it over, and rough cut it to about 16 inches wide, and we can work it down from there. So, here's where we're at. We've got one slab in our temporary router sled that we'll be working on, second slab, and our third slab. So, what we're going to do is use our router sled to plane one side and get it flat. Then we will take our track saw again, rip that in half, and run those through the planer. And then we will have all of our pieces. I smoke checked this thing. You know, I mean, smoke checked. Willie Nelson couldn't even handle the amount of smoke that was coming out of this. So how to get a new one? We're going to slap the new one in here, get back to planing these slabs down, and then we'll get to ripping. Okay, so we've got all these ripped now, and it's time to run through the planer to get them flat and the same thickness on all of them. And some people may say, "Oh, Zach, why did you just not run the wider boards through the planer?" It's because I don't have a big planer. So, you gotta work with what you got sometimes. So, I like to use a track saw as a joiner. I know some people may be against that. Some people may have joiners big enough to do 6, 7, 8 foot boards. I do not. Some people may want to use a hand plane. I do not. I like a track saw. I'm a power tool guy. So, I do not have a Festool, I have a Makita track saw, and I absolutely love this thing. And the way this works is I take the top of the boards, so what will be the tabletop, and I turn them face down. I mark the edges that I need to join so I don't get them confused. And then I take a piece of plywood and I screw that to the very edge of my 2 pieces of wood. And what that does is it pulls them flat together. So then that way you have a reference face for your joint. And then I set my track saw where it will run right along the joint of the 2 pieces of wood. And what that does is that gives me a nice clean cut joint between the 2 pieces, and it works phenomenally, and I've done this several times. Now you may have to make 2 or 3 passes on your joint, especially if you have a wider joint between the 2 originally, or like a wider gap. So I'll do 1 pass, I'll unscrew it, check it again, and then you may have to kind of shimmy it and do it 2 or 3 times. I know it may be more time consuming than a joiner, but your joints will not disappoint. So we've done 1 or 2 of these, right? The reason why I love doing this is with no clamps or anything on it. Look how smooth that joint is. It's nice. I like it. Let's talk about something that I hate the most, and that's glue ups. I'm not a fan of glue ups. I'm just not, especially with like panel tops like this where I have more than 4 or 5 pieces. So the way I'm going to do this glue up is I'm actually going to do 3 glue ups total. I'm going to do 1 glue up with 3 boards, another glue up with 3 boards, and then the final glue up is going to be those 2 with 1 joint right in the middle. The reason I'm doing that compared to like all of them at one time is because if you try to do 6 panels at once, sometimes your boards get like a little janky like that, or the pressure of your clamps will kind of bow at the middle, so you have some of that action going on. and nobody wants that. So you have to sand that out or plane it out, and you end up losing a lot of material. So that's how we're gonna do it. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't know. That's how I'm gonna do it, and let's see how she turns out. I cheated. Okay, I'm just gonna put it that way. I've cheated. So I took the tabletop, I got it cut down to about a 1/2 inch to its final size, and there's a local wood mill that has a 42-inch wide sander planer that I run this thing through, and it saves me so much time and headache and everything else. So I cheated. I didn't do it all with hand tools or whatever else. I did it that way. It was effective, time efficient, and it was well worth it. So next thing up, since we got the planing and sanding the majority of the way done, is to fill up all our holes and cracks with epoxy. So what I did was on the bottom side of the table, this is the top, of course. So on the bottom side, I took Tyvek tape and I sealed up every hole and crack that I could find. And some of them may not come all the way through the top, but if there's a hole or a crack, I put tape over it because I know that epoxy will find every nook and cranny to try to leak through. So let's learn the hard way from previous builds as I go ahead and just tape every crack, valley, crevice thing that I can find. So that's done. So now I'm going to clean out all my holes and get these ready to actually start pouring epoxy in. And to go to black walnut, we're going to have a black metal leg. So we're going to do a nice, pretty black epoxy on the top using Total Boat and black diamond pigment. So let's get to it. The next thing up is going to be installing the legs and the C-channel. We've got the table cut down to its final dimensions, its length and its width. And the next thing is going to be to actually route out a slot in the bottom of the table for the legs and the C-channel. Another little tip that I like to try to use, or a little trick, whatever you want to call it, is a straight edge with my router. That way, when you're doing your slot, you don't get squirrely and it looks like junk if anybody ever looks around the table or runs their hand under it. So I have my track saw slide set up here. If you don't have a track saw slide, you can use a level, a straight edge, anything. But measure off the edge to my bit. That way you can just run it right along the edge, just like that. We'll keep it nice and square. You'll have a nice clean line. Don't you love it when everything just like turns out real nice? Like, look at that. Look at that slot. Look at that. Look at that. Clean. Real clean. Looks good. Like a professional done it. Yeah, so anyways, the slots went super easy, super smooth. I do highly recommend having a straight edge. It makes everything just look so much neater. I know nobody's probably ever going to look under the table, but just in case, if your grandmama's down there sweeping the floor or drop some food or whatever, and they decide to look up at the bottom of the table, you don't want it to look like dump. So take a little bit extra time, make the bottom look just like the top. That way your quality is the same all the way through. So the next step is going to be sand the bottom all the way up to 220 grit. We're going to stop at 180 grit and use a 1/8 inch round over bit around the edges, get that nice clean round over so that way it's not super sharp. And then we'll sand it 220, water pop it, and then finish sanding at 220.
So for this project, what I'm doing is I'm going to use a universal seal coat of Zinsser's wax-free shellac. Put that down first. And the reason I'm doing that is because since this table is made out of flat sawn live edge slabs, the grains is a little bit more porous, they're a little bit more open, so that really seals them up, and it leaves a beautiful base coat for our polyurethane to go on next. So once the seal coat is on, or the shellac, I'm going to use a 2-to-1 mix of polyurethane and mineral spirits. So 2 parts polyurethane, 1 part mineral spirits. And for this, I'm using Varathane's polyurethane with a satin sheen. This does not leave that super shiny plastic finish, but leaves a nice, beautiful texture. And what the mineral spirits does is it kind of thins that polyurethane out to where it's not super thick, it's easier to work with. And then I'll use a foam brush to actually go on and brush it on. It leaves a nice finish, it's durable, and it's tough.